International. I'm Elizabeth Omori, and we're reaching you live from up. Now let's take the headlines. Code of Conduct Tribunal to revisit early order suspending the acting Registrar General of the Corporate Affairs Commission, Obiageli Azuka Azingi. Supercount concept upscales aggressive response to security threats in the Northeast. Huge crowds converge on the streets of Tehran for the Iranian commander's funeral. Thank you so much for joining us. Now let's begin with the judiciary. The Code of Conduct Tribunal says it may revisit its earlier order suspending the acting Registrar General of the Corporate Affairs Commission, Obiageli Azuka Azingi. This follows an application to that effect filed by her counsel. Olabode Arewa reports.
The defendant, Obiageli Azingi, was removed from her position based on an order of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. She was arraigned on an 11th count charge of alleged non-declaration of assets. This was in contravention of the 1999 Constitution. Having pleaded not guilty to the charges, her matter was initially adjourned to the 29th of January. However, counsel to the prosecution had on 28th of December 2019 gone ahead to obtain an ex parte order for her suspension. At Monday's resumed hearing, our counsel, Abiodun Owonekoko SAN, called the tribunal's attention to a lack of fair hearing in granting the suspension order, saying the defense was just served with a motion for a suspension in court. The tribunal, while adjourning the matter to the earlier adjourned date of 29th of January, said it might revisit Azingi's suspension order if our defense team argued a good case.
So we were surprised when we started reading in the media that there were some proceedings after that date, and some far-reaching orders were made, including orders suggesting that our client has been removed from office based on order of court and all the rest. So we didn't know what it was all about. We struggled to try and access the record, but it's been holiday season that was granted.
The registrar of the tribunal made serious efforts to serve the defendant and the counsel, but unfortunately they couldn't be served until this morning.
Obiageli Azingi is also facing charges of receiving certain allowances not due to her. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
From the judiciary, we now move to security. The recent introduced supercount concept has upscaled aggressive response to security threats in the Northeast. This was highlighted by the Chief of Army Staff while on an operational visit to formations in Adamawa and Borno states. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
This is to assure you that we are ready to give you all the support for you to continue to operate until these criminals finally are pushed out. We will not give them any breathing space.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, in Madagali, Adamawa State, charging troops to maintain an eagle eye on threats by ensuring proactive rather than reactive response. In Pulka, Borno State, he commended officers and soldiers for securing the once vulnerable town and promised improved logistics, welfare in the front lines and barracks across the country. At the famous Goza Hills, a critical police training site overrun by Boko Haram in 2014, recaptured by the armed forces in 2015, massive reconstruction is on and the mobile police are expected to resume training soon. The army chief climbed the hill to have a feel of what troops deployed to secure the area go through.
All areas where the terrorists are hibernating, they've identified them and they constantly raid those areas. So that's the spirit, and I'm sure the progress is quite commendable.
Lieutenant General Buratai stressed that Operation Lafia Dole, operating through 3 sectors, dissected into 23 super camps, has made significant impact in the Northeast.
This super camp concept is born out of experience. It's not just out of the blues. I think the initial misconception, has been assuaged
the fears of the people have been assuaged. And as such, is something that we'll continue to build upon.
2019 operational year has come and gone. There were challenges and successes were recorded. This operational tour provides an opportunity for the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, to appraise platforms and make projections that will enhance counter-insurgency operations in the Northeast. From Biu in Borno State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And still on security, troops of Operation Lafia Dole have rescued 461 people abducted in Kajana and Mainok in Maiduguri, Damaturu Road. A statement by the Nigerian Army Operations Media Coordinator, Colonel Aminu Ilyasu, indicates that 4 minors abducted by Boko Haram in 2015 were also rescued by troops at a checkpoint in Mombar local government area of the state. Similarly, 4 terrorists were killed when they attempted to infiltrate Madagali in Adamawa state. Several gun trucks and other ammunition were recovered from the counterinsurgency operations. And 2019 has been described as peaceful in Rivers State due to security measures put in place by the government and various security agencies, particularly during the festivities. Some residents expressed their views while taking a look at the state of security in the outgone year. Over now to Robinson Derachide for details.
It was specifically opined by respondents that Rivers State in 2019 enjoyed peace relative to 2018. The situation, they noted, may not be unconnected with the cooperation by citizens to achieve peace, the formation of Operation Sting by the state government, as well as the boosting of the morals of security agencies through the provision of vehicles and other incentives.
The security challenge in Rivers State is very calm, very okay. Everybody enjoyed the Xmas, slept. In fact, I slept with 2 eyes closed.
The road is very safe and safety. We don't see any armed robbers and no kidnapping. No, everywhere is calm.
The police says in 2019, it arrested about 120 suspects whose offenses range from kidnapping, armed robbery, and cultism, with about 100 of them convicted. Painful sacrifices with the loss of 5 policemen, including those officers penciled for dismissals and reduction in ranks for indiscipline, were recorded.
As we speak, we have 6 of them who have been recommended for dismissal. Who are found guilty of engaging in corrupt activities and extortion, as the case may be. Can I show you that this 2020, we see a redefined and a refined the police officers on the road.
Expectations are high in 2020. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Derachide, NTA News.
Away from security, the Minister of Finance says she has released 22 billion naira to the Ministry of Works to enable it to complete major road infrastructure across the country. The minister said this during the economic outlook for 2020 on Good Morning Nigeria. Lydia Sampson has details.
But what we're trying to do is to adjust the timing to do these releases early during the year, more quickly, so that the funds will be available for implementation throughout the course of the year. What to release 22 billion to them, and it's to enable them address the schedules that they give to us for projects that are completed 70% and above.
Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed speaking on the first tranche on the release of budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Works to enable it to accelerate major road infrastructure projects across the country. The minister explained that the early release was prompted by the favorable weather for road construction and indicated that releases for other sectors will soon follow. She was joined in the discussion to review the economy in 2020 by Dr. Emeka Okunzo and Niyi Akinsiju, both development analysts. The two guests shared the minister's view about improvement in the economy in 2019 and specifically mentioned stability in the macroeconomic indicators.
That for the first time in the history of our country, you will have what you call our infrastructure ministries actually now hitting the ground running. Okay, that in the first week of a new year, funds have been released to them. But that is not even as pleasing as also what the ministry has been able to achieve, in the last 6 months of last year, with the releases, that have been done. 100% of your of your what you call your debt servicing, which now makes you credit worthy. That's very, very key.
And it tells us that policies are being at work, and no matter how some critics will want to look at it, policy that had been deployed over these past 4 years had been, properly addressed at targeting
outlook for 2020.
And that's the reason why when we did the finance bill, you find that the finance bill was largely targeted as making businesses easy for the very small businesses, because we believe that's where the economy needs to really grow and stabilize from. When you reduce the cost of doing business, the businesses will prosper better, they will grow, and then they can employ more people, and more people will be pulled out of poverty.
The guests believe economic indicators are pointing northwards for the country in the face of fiscal and monetary measures already in place, with global increase in oil price above the national benchmark of $57 per barrel. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Away from economic matters, the year is just starting, and for many, there are lots of expectations for the year 2020. But for pilgrims from Taraba State, northeast Nigeria, who are visiting Jerusalem, their expectations couldn't be any better, starting the year with a journey for spiritual growth. Ruth Agwele reports.
It's day one in the Holy Land. In anticipation and high spirits, these pilgrims have come to witness a life-changing experience. This spectacular view, they say, is a tip of the iceberg of all the places they will be visiting during their stay here. As they all look forward to the real moments to get first-hand information of the life of Jesus Christ here, prayers and orientation was first on the menu. The pilgrims were encouraged to take advantage of every opportunity during their stay in the Holy Land to get the desired miracles they seek.
So we must take this as an opportunity for being in the Holy Land to pray for ourselves, our families, and for the nation Nigeria and for our states.
I know I read in the Bible severally about different sites, but this time I'm going to see those sites again. And also, I'm going to now rekindle my spiritual life.
So our expectation is that when we see these things, our life will never remain the same.
This exercise is going to be a very rich one, fruitful one, that after this coming to Jerusalem, we'll have a different, not really different, but a continuation of our faith in Christ.
As the clock ticks, every moment counts, they say, in making this experience a memorable one for them. From Jerusalem, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
Meanwhile, pilgrims from Taraba State, northeast Nigeria, have begun their spiritual obligations with visits to different holy sites in Jerusalem. Details when we return after the break. Stay with us.
NTA has gone mobile. Catch your favorite programs anywhere in the world by going to Play Store on Android and App Store on iOS. Search for Vision TV UK, download and install. Then you're good to go.
Thanks for staying with us. Now to agribusiness. African Development Bank is set to collaborate with Ogun State government to establish agro-processing zones in the state, which will be one of the biggest in sub-Saharan Africa. The agreement was reached during the visit of the bank's president, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, to Ogun State. Governor Dakbo Abiodun received him.
By the Ogun State government to ensure that the state is self-sustaining in food security and attain the position of food basket of the nation, has received yet another boost with a visit of the President, African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, to Governor Dapo Abiodun. African Development Bank is collaborating with the state government to take the state to the next level.
The African Development Bank, one of our 5 priorities is to feed Africa. Of course, to feed Africa means that we must make agriculture a business for creating wealth and also jobs, and to reviving rural economic activities. So the governor has set a very clear strategy on that, and I assure the governor of my full support and that of the bank.
Governor Dapo Abiodun, who appreciated the president of AFDP, says his commitment to lift people out of poverty in the state has been yielding the desired results.
We've decided that we must do everything to turn our idle hands into productive agropreneurs.
To improve the quality of life of the people, the governor added that education, agriculture, environmental sanitation, water supply, among others, will continue to receive priority attention.
And Onenge Fineface is standing by with news from the financial sector.
The Securities and Exchange Commission says the development of an efficient derivatives trading market is one of its top priorities in 2020. The Acting Director General SEC, Mary Uduk, noted that this is a good time to have derivatives in the capital market as some of the investable products capable of boosting liquidity in the market. While reiterating that derivatives are traded in all the big markets and around the world and are used in risk management, the SEC boss added that they are also used to hedge the trade in other securities. The Naira, a symbol of pride and nationhood and official legal tender of Nigeria, has continued to suffer abuse and mutilation by some Nigerians. Musa Abubakar reports from Sokoto that the Naira note is still being mutilated by citizens. Meanwhile, key players are advocating the need to check the circulation of bad notes, rejection of the currency by traders and buyers in the country.
The way in which we have to handle with care. So when you get the currency, it is advisable for you to put those currency inside your purse or your wallet so that the thing will not get torn.
Up next is an outlook at the commodities market. News. Thanks for your time. I'm Onengiye Fineface.
Thank you, Onenge. And now to farming and loan management. Agriculture is one of the most flourishing sectors of the nation's economy. And so with proper planning, any individual or group having basic knowledge of farming can start a profitable business. And so as the Akwa Ibom State government is to give out loans to farmers, the Ministry of Agriculture and Women Affairs, in collaboration with the state's Agricultural Loans Board, organized a one-day sensitization forum for vegetable farmers to educate them on effective loan management. Uduak Etim reports.
Vegetable farming is one of the lucrative and profitable businesses in Nigeria, which has the potential to provide millions of naira to farmers and also boost food production. In order to support and encourage vegetable farmers to achieve success, the Akwa Ibom State government, through the Ministry of Agriculture and Women Affairs, announced plans to disburse interest-free loans to about 3,000 farmers across the 31 local government areas of the state, of which 80% of beneficiaries are women.
You know, with farming, we have a lot to eat. We have so much. From the farm work, we use the money to train our children.
I'm going to use the loan very wisely because this is, in fact, it is a great offer.
This development prompted the hosting of a one-day sensitization forum to enlighten the farmers on the need for effective loan management, as the first phase of the loan will soon be credited into the beneficiaries' accounts.
Agriculture has come to stay in Akwa Ibom State, and because we want to encourage vegetable production and food production generally. So with this loan, it will really help the farmer.
Agricultural financing is one of the most important factors used for development of rural areas and encouraging investment in farm activities.
The efforts by the Akwa Ibom State government to develop the agricultural sector is to complement the federal government's determination to boost food production and sufficiency. In Uyo, Uduak Etem, NTA News.
And for trending news from other parts of the world, let's join Adebola Brooksland Sunday.
Hello there. Many people thronged the streets of Iranian capital Tehran for the funeral of the slain military commander Qasem Soleimani. Soleimani was assassinated in a U.S. drone strike in Iraq on Friday on the orders of President Donald Trump. Justifying the killing, President Trump said Soleimani was plotting imminent attacks on U.S. diplomats and military personnel. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei led prayers and at one point was seen weeping. Iran has vowed severe revenge for the death of Soleimani and on Sunday pulled back from the 2015 nuclear accord. Soleimani, 62, headed Iran's elite Quds force and was tasked with protecting and boosting Iran's influence in the Middle East. Meanwhile, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered the military to prepare deployment of its aircraft and ships at any moment notice for the evacuation of thousands of Filipino workers in Iraq and Iran, reflecting Asia's growing fears for its citizens amid a potential outbreak of violence in the Middle East following the assassination of Iranian military commander General Qasem Soleimani. In another development, rain has fallen in fire-ravaged parts of Australia and temperatures have dropped. However, officials have warned that blaze will take off again. Sooty rain fell down the east coast from Sydney to Melbourne, with torrential rain reported in some parts of New South Wales. But officials warned temperatures would rise by Thursday. They also said huge fires in Victoria and New South Wales could meet to create a larger mega blaze. The National Gallery of Australia in Canberra and the Australian National University in the capital have been closed. I am Adebola Brooksland Sunday. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Adebola. And now to sports. Niger female beach volleyball team qualifies to the next stage of the 2020 Olympic Games in Accra, Ghana. Olumide Eduntola has details on sports updates.
The Nigerian female beach volleyball team has won a ticket to the next stage of the 2020 Olympic Games qualifiers held in Accra, Ghana. Team Nigeria beat Team Benin 2-0 in the first match and went ahead to beat Ghana 2-0 in the second match to qualify.
We are ranked third in Africa, and I don't see no reason why we should come here and get anything below the first position that we have gotten today. We didn't lose a single set to the both countries. It's just for Nigeria to start from this stage and start preparing for the second phase.
Team Nigeria male team is expected to depart Nigeria on the 7th of January for Lomé, Togo, to participate in the similar championship. Nigerian women's volleyball team will on Monday 6th January 2020 takes on their counterparts from Cameroon in an Olympic qualifier in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Head coach of the team, Samuel Ajayi, the players and other officials are optimistic that the team will qualify despite stiff oppositions. Nigeria will battle Egypt on Tuesday before facing Botswana on Wednesday. In table tennis, Nigeria